Hello. So in this video, I want to create, I want to provision two virtual machines in the same network. So basically, I want to create two VMs, right, with just one that are using one VPC, the same VPC, right? And I want to do this on Google Cloud. And one way I want to do it is by writing a script, a YAML script. So I'm going to be showing you how to like write a YAML script, and I'm going to be using Google Cloud Deployment Manager, right? The documentation to do that, the step by step on how to do that. So it's the deployment manager is similar to platform, right? It's just, so let me just come here. So what is deployment manager? So it's a tool to automate the creation and management of cloud resources, right? So and one way to automate stuff is just write a script, right? If you look down here, it says, you write a template, right? You create a template that contains the configurations, the name of the resource you want to create, the type, and other properties, right? So I'll just come here and then I'll just type um, deployment, deployment manager, GCP, right? So, so this is the documentation, right? I'll click on the first one, Google Cloud Deployment Manager, right? So, and then I can click on, you can see, just scroll down, just peruse. And so I want to create a template, right? So I'll just click on view all product documents. And then I'll come to use reference, right? So I'll come to use reference. You can look through this, the fundamental. This is an example if you want to create a virtual machine for this particular one. So, but for what you want to do, just use references. And so this is a template, right? This is a template to use to kind of use a a reference in whatever you want to do. So, but before we do this, I just want to show you something. Getting started. So, if you are starting this getting started is a very good resource because it's going to show you step by step, right, on how to actually do everything, right? It's going to show you step by step. You create an account and you install. If you want to use like maybe a text editor, for example, maybe Visual Studio, right? Just go through this, right? You create your YAML file. It's just going to give you step by step on how to do it. So, but let's just go back to using reference. And so for this, so I'm going to explain this in a bit. This part, I'm going to explain it. But let me just quickly explain this YAML file here, right? Because what this YAML file is doing is so this first part here is creating the first virtual machine, right? Then this one, if you look at it, the first virtual machine, then this one is creating the second virtual machine, right? And this other one is creating the second virtual machine up to this point, right? Creating the second virtual machine. Then this part here is creating the VPC, the network, right? The VPC. So now, if you look at the name of the VPC here is a new network. So usually, for this network, for this virtual machine, this network part, right? It will put the link to the default network, right? The default VPC. But because we want to use this particular network, look at it, put ref dot, then the name, which is a new network, it put the name there, right? Then self-link, right? So you just, whatever the name of your network is. So what I'm going to do is, and I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to edit it so that you can see where you can actually edit. So things to just take note before we continue is that when you are creating resource, it's going to have three basic things, right? The name, the type, and the properties, right? So let me just copy this. I'm just going to copy this and then I'm going to open a text editor. For me, I really don't want to use the Visual Studio because I want to use the Cloud Shell, right? So I'm going to use the Cloud Shell. So I'm going to click on File, New File, and then I'm just going to put VPC VM, right? Then .yaml, right? So I'm going to create this new file. So I can put my name. Yeah. So let me just save it here. Save it on, just save it here and create. So now I'm just going to paste that YAML file here. So let's make some edit here. So I would just want to change this, to something, or I can just leave it so that we don't waste time. So one can change the zone you want to create it. If you want to create it in another zone, you can change that. And so I'm just going to change this network. So I'll just change this network to so that you can see that you can actually change it. So I'll put APC okay. Now just put remove the network, just offer VPC. So what I have to do is that I have to change it. I have to copy and then I have to change it here. So instead of putting this part, so I'll put paste, and then also I'll come up here and then I'll change this part. Then I'll put paste, right? Then one thing that we also need to note is the project ID, right? So the project ID, if you look here, you will see something like my project. So I have to put the project for this under this machine type, right? So I have to put my project ID. So what we'll get there, we'll get there. So this is just the file, right? This is just the file. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come back to my Cloud Shell. I'll come back to Cloud Shell and so I'll come back to my Google Cloud Platform, and I'll come up here, so to my top right. So you see Activate Cloud Shell. Click on that, and it's going to provisioning your Cloud Shell machine. So it's going to provision that. So why is provisioning that? Okay, you already did that. So now this is my project ID, right? This is my project ID. So I need to change. So let me copy this, copy this, copy this. And let me just show you something before I do this so that you learn how to actually use the documentation correctly. So let me just come back to the documentation and where is it? Okay, let me come to getting started. So I think in getting started, it shows it explains better. So now, okay, so if you look at this place here, right, for this particular resource, they want to create a virtual machine, right? They call the name of the virtual machine Quick Start Deployment VM, right? So what they did was, if you look here, then they said that for this machine type, right? If you look at this, my project here, look at what they said before that. They say replace my project with your project ID, right? So you need to get your project ID. Then instead of this, my project, everything here, you replace it with your project ID. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. So let me, so I'm just going to replace. So let me copy my project ID, come back here. This is my project ID. Copy, and I'll come back to replace it. paste, okay? Then I'll do the same for the other virtual machine. This is the second virtual machine. So I'll replace my project, paste with the project ID. So now, so let me just look through the script again. Look through the scripts. Yeah, so I think everything looks good. Everything looks good. So I'm just going to come to my Cloud Shell, and I'm going to use some commands. And those commands, you can actually get it from the documentation, right? So let me come back to the documentation. So if you look at this documentation, right, all these ones, let me just come down. After you create your YAML file, you replace all instance, my project with my project ID here. This is the documentation for the getting started, right? You save your YAML file. And now to deploy your resource, use the Google Cloud CLI to create a new deployment using your configuration file. So now I have to use this command, right? So I have to use this command to deploy it, right? To deploy it. If I want to deploy it, I have to use this command. So, but for me, since I'm not using text editor, right? So I want to create the script. So I'll do VI, then what's the name of the script? So I'll just give it a name of VM VPC. I think I called it .yaml. Right. Create this VI, and then what I'll do is that I'll copy all that command and paste it here, right? So you see that. So now, then I'll come to this script. I'll copy all this. Let me just copy all this through A to highlight, then Control C. Through C, then I'll come back here. And then I'll paste it. Control V, okay? And then I'm going to save escape :X to save it. So it's saved now, right? So now let me do, just to ensure that everything looks good, I'm just going to do that command again, just to open it again to ensure that the file is not empty, right? So VI so is there, right? So let me do escape. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is to run it. Now to run it, just like I showed you, I will use this command under quick start. This command, right? This particular command, right? So G-Cloud Deployment Manager, deployment, create quick start deployment, config vm.yaml. So, but now if you look at, for this particular project, the name of the file, the name of the file is called vm.yaml, which is what is here. So we are going to replace, I'm going to replace this with the name of my own file. The name of my own file is, the name of my file is this offe-vm-vpc.yaml, right? So I'm going to replace, so let me copy that command first. Just going to copy that command somewhere, just paste it. And we can just use this copy, then paste it somewhere, maybe on your notepad, and then make the edits. So I'm going to replace, so let me just paste it here. Paste here. Then I'm going to replace this. I'm going to replace this. I think that's config. I'm going to replace it with offe VM VPC, and that's it, right? So now, you can just give a name for the deployment. This quick start here is not necessarily, you can just leave it the way it is, right? The name for the templates, right? So just can just leave this quick stats, and yeah, this one is just the name for the templates, and this is the name for the file, right? The file that I want to run. So now before we run this command, what I want to do is I'm going to come back to my platform, to my Google Cloud platform, and then I will just confirm the virtual machines that are there, right? So just so that when everything run, you can see that actually it created the virtual machine and also the VPC. So, and we are going to see it under Cloud Deployment Manager. Okay, so I remember something we have to do before we even run this command. We have to, first of all, go to Cloud Deployment Manager. So you just type Cloud Deployment Manager. I just remembered something. So Cloud Deployment Manager, I'll click on that. So I have to enable, because I'm just doing this for the first time. I'm just running this for the first time. So I have to go to Cloud Deployment Manager. So I have to enable, the Google Enterprise API. So I have to enable this. So click on enable. Right. So it's going to enable that so that I can actually perform this operation. So why is enabling? I'm just going to go to my virtual machine. Okay, let's come back. Okay, so I'm just going to come back to my virtual machine. So compute engine, VM. So if you are doing this for the very first time, maybe you've not enabled your API for the compute engine, you have to also enable that. But for me, I already provisioned virtual machine previously. So I'll just come to the virtual machine instances, and I think I just have only 2 instances there. So these are the only 2 instances there. So when I run that command, right, it's just what it's just going to do. It's going to add 2 more virtual machines, right? And then if I come to the VPC, so let me see, where is VPC? Okay, this is VPC network, right? So if I look at VPC network, currently it's just only the default VPC that is there, right? But once I run that command, it's just going to provision another VPC, right? So it's going to be amazing. So I just want to show you all this. So now let's come back to the command, and then let's run it. Let's run it. Okay, authorize. Is give an error. So it says G-Cloud Deployment Manager creates invalid formats, unable to parse YAML. Okay, so okay, so let's see. So I think the configuration has invalid formats. So I think it's just the error here is just the so one thing I can do is to avoid this error. One thing I can do is I can, so let me do ls. So just to check. Okay, this is the file here. So let me see if I can remove that file. Okay, so I'll remove this file. So let me do ls again. Okay, so the file is no more there. So what I can do is that I can, I'll just come here. I can upload I'll just upload this YAML file, right? I'll just upload it directly. I mean, it's troubleshooting. So let's do this. So I'm just going to come here more, and then I'll click on upload. Upload destination directory. So let me come here. For the file. So this is the file here. This is the file here. Let me check this property of this file to see. Was it created? No, not this. It's not this one. I think it's this one here. Property. Okay, this is it here. So that's it. So let me copy part, and then I'll come back here. Upload files or folder from your computer. Choose a file. Choose a file, then I'll come. Okay, I don't even need to do all that. So I just need to, I think, choose a file, and and then I'll come to my desktop. Then I'll choose the, so I need to, what's that? Is it? Yeah, this is it here. Choose that. So then open, upload. So that's it. So I've uploaded it now. So let me clear all this. Okay, so then let me try to run the command again. Right. So before I run the command, let me just check if this file, if you look at it now, so it's offer-vpc-vm.yaml ls to check if the file is there. So the file is there now, right? So now let me try to run, let me just run it again. So run that command. So because now, if you look at it, this is the file here, right? To offer, oh, okay, I made a mistake. So I need to change these VPC. So this should be VPC first, then dash VM. So it has to tally, right? So these have to be exactly the same. Okay, so let's try it again, see if it's going to work. Okay, so this is it now. So yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, I'm happy that I was able to, troubleshoot this and solve the problem right on this call. So so it's creating, waiting for create. So it's creating, it's working, it's creating the resources. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so let's just give it some time. I'm just going to pause this video, and once it's done, I'll be back. Okay. So as you can see, the deployment, the creation was completed successfully, and we see the name of the VPC, the network that was created, which is Offer VPC, the name of the virtual machine, the first name, the second name, which is in line with the name of the virtual machine that was actually the name that was given in the templates, right? The YAML file. So now let's go to deployment manager. And so let's go to deployment manager. So let's go to, so deployment manager. So we are going to see it there. And then we are going to see go to deployment manager. Now look at that, quick start deployment. That is it, right? So if you click on it, it's going to give you more, click on it, it's going to give you more information. about the deployment, right? The deployment property, the ID it was created. This is the date today. And yeah, so now let's go to the virtual machine to see that the name, the virtual machine that was created, the first one, which is the first VM, the second VM. So let's go to compute engine. So these are the virtual machines and they were created, right? So these are the virtual machine. And look at the zone. They were created in US Central 1F. These are the zones. These are the zone. This is the zone rather, right? It's just the same zone. So yeah, so that's basically how to write a template, use deployment manager. You know, you can just put everything together, put the configuration for to deploy your resources, multiple resources, instead of creating the virtual machine one by one. You can just put everything together. And the beautiful thing is that um, once I delete this, once I come to deploy, if I come back to deployment manager, right? I come back to deployment manager and I delete that, let me come back to deployment manager. It's just going to automatically delete the virtual machine and the VPC. So let's even check the VPC. Let's check the VPC. So look at, that's the name of the VPC, right? So if you come down here, you see, so this is the VPC, right? So that's basically how to do it. I hope this video helps you. Thank you so much.